Okay, hello. My name is Erica. I am the systems and automations expert here at Fiscal Fitness. And what I really love is making things more efficient, more streamlined, and automated. Those are my superpowers. That's what I love the most. And my first project when I started at Fiscal Fitness was to kind of audit and overhaul all of the systems here. And now that we've got that kind of squared away, I'm able to help other coaches do the same thing for their systems and their own businesses. And one thing we really notice that financial coaches struggle with is defining your client journey and then creating systems around that to support that client journey. And then also creating the automations within those systems to help you be more productive and efficient in your business. So today I'm going to give you some steps that you can take, some things that you can think about that are going to be useful for you regardless of how long you've been in business or how big your business is. Any system that we set up should be able to grow with you. If you really set up a system really well, it should be able to grow as your business grows. So if your business is small, it's the perfect time to kind of get those things in place. And if your business is big, then now is as good a time as any, because hopefully you're going to just keep growing and eventually you're going to hit a breaking point. Which is when you become the bottleneck, when there's just too much for you as a business owner to do. And so it's better if we can get those things kind of put in place before you get to that point. So I'm going to go through 6 systems that every financial coach needs, and then when automations make sense within those systems. So the first system that you as a financial coach need is a payment processor. So the really common ones are PayPal and Stripe. And the important thing to look for when you're looking for a payment processor are things like, can they do recurring payments? Can they do things kind of like subscriptions or paid in full things? Depending on whatever your client journey is, look at how you want your clients to be paying you, and then can that payment processor do that, right? Some other important things just from like a client customer satisfaction kind of standpoint are, is there invoicing available? And can you send them an invoice as opposed to having to like call and get their card information for you to manually enter? So that's just kind of ease of use thing. It's just a better customer experience. We have people all the time say, can you just send me an invoice? And they'd rather just, pull it up on their phone and have their card information in there. The other thing to think about is, can clients update card info on their own? So one thing that takes a lot of time, or can take a lot of time as a business owner as you start to grow, is when it happens to all of us, your card gets hacked or whatever it is, you have to get a new card and you have to update everything and you're going to miss something. And so every once in a while, a client's card's going to decline. And instead of having to go back and forth a million times with them, trying to play phone tag and get that updated information from them, can they update it on their own? Can you just send them a link? Can you just send them to a web page, whatever it is, where they can update that new information on their own? We can automate that, right? So if it declines, we send them an email. In the email, they can click on a link where they can update their card information. All those little things, it might seem like one minor thing, but as your business grows, those little tiny admin tasks build up. And if we can start automating and create systems around them now, it's something that you just won't have to deal with later. Also, I find that most, like PayPal and Stripe, are the common ones, and they're pretty similar when it comes to fees. They're pretty similar when it comes to functionality. But one thing to really look at when you're trying to pick is the back end, right? What is the back end? What does it look like as a business owner for you to use that system? So like, can I pull reports? Is it easy and intuitive to, if I need to look up a client and whatever their payment is it easy and intuitive for me to find that information? That really, for me, is where I see a major difference in the payment processors, is ease of use of the back end site from a business perspective. And everyone's going to have their opinion on which one is better. But if you haven't chosen one yet, that's something to think about. And then the last thing to think about is, can it sync with your other systems? So do you have any other systems in place right now? Do you have a calendaring system? Do you have a CRM? We're going to get to both of those in a second, but if you have other systems in place, you want a payment processor that can work and integrate with those other systems so that they can talk to each other and work together. Having two totally separate systems that can't work together isn't going to benefit you when it comes to a systems and automation standpoint, when it comes to making things easier and simpler and quicker for you. So from a payment processing standpoint, when automations make sense are things like I said before, if they miss a payment, can we automatically send an email, right? Can we automatically allow them to update that information? If you have some sort of subscription, if the subscription is started or canceled, can we have that automate something where they get an email or they're updated in your CRM or whatever needs to happen when those subscriptions are ended or starting? Can we have that do it automatically? If they change in program duration, for example, if they go from monthly to every other month, can we have it automatically send an updated invoice, right? All of these are teeny tiny little admin tasks, but as you grow, they add up, and having a robust payment processor that can do some of those things for you is only going to help you in the long run. Okay. So the second system that every financial coach needs is a scheduling and calendaring system. So on a very basic level, this would be something like Google Calendar, whatever you use for your personal calendar. But on a more robust level is something like Acuity, which is what we use, or Calendly is what a lot of people use. From a client-facing perspective, so what your client is going to interact with and what your user customer experience is going to be, your scheduling and calendaring system is probably the most important system for them from the client-facing side to create a smooth and easy process for them to book their services with you, right? So you want to make it as easy as possible, as simple, as streamlined for someone to book a session with you and pay you. The more steps that we add in, the more opportunities we give for someone to second guess themselves, get cold feet, or just bail because it's too hard and it's too much work already, right? So we don't want that. So your scheduling and calendaring system should be something that's easy, streamlined, simple, intuitive, and this system should sync with almost every single one of your other systems in order to create that experience. So what I mean by that is you want a scheduling system that can sync with your personal calendar, like Google Calendar, for example. And the reason is because it's going to significantly decrease your risk of double booking people, right? So if I have my personal things and maybe my other business meetings with coworkers on a Google Calendar, and then I'm using, say, Acuity for client scheduling, I want those calendars to talk to each other. Because if I have a meeting with coworkers, I don't want a client to be able to book the same time. So whatever's on my Google Calendar needs to block off time in Acuity, and whatever client appointments are in Acuity needs to block off time on my Google Calendar, right? So if I decide I want to go on a 2-week vacation around the world cruise, I want to be able to go into Google Calendar, block off those 2 weeks, and know that it's also going to block off those 2 weeks in Acuity, and I'm not going to have to worry about clients booking when I'm not around. The other thing, like we just spoke about, is it should be able to sync with your payment processor. So just from an ease of use, customer experience standpoint, you want your client to be able to go in, book their appointment, and pay for it in like 3 clicks, right? We want it to be easy. We want it to be quick. We want it to be simple. What we don't want is for you to have to be sending emails back and forth about what day and time works, and then for you to be having to play phone tag back and forth to get their payment info, to enter it manually. All of that is a lot of work. It's a lot of work for you as a business owner, and it's a lot of work for them as a brand new client that might be already a little nervous or already feeling like the prep work's a lot of work. We don't want to add more onto their plate. So we want a payment processor that says, okay, great, this is your appointment that you booked. Perfect. Here's how you pay. Great. You're all set to go, right? The other thing is you should be able to sync with Zoom or Google Hangouts. If you are a financial coach that meets with your clients digitally, so if you meet with people using Zoom, using Skype, using Google Hangouts, anything like that, your calendaring system should be able to automatically create that Zoom room and send it to your client in their confirmation email. So just another way for those back and forth emails to eliminate them completely, right? You shouldn't have, I'm sure most people have had that client that emails 15 minutes before the appointment, like, oh my God, I can't find the link. If you find that happening to you, this is going to seriously help you, because it's going to just, all the information is going to be right in that email confirmation, which leads me to this next point that is great for your calendaring system, which is email confirmations and reminders. So again, just cut out the back and forth. Your scheduling and calendaring system should allow your client to book their appointment, and their confirmation email should have the date, it should have the time, it should have the link, it should have a button that can add it to their own personal calendar, all of those things, so that you don't have to do so much engaging and interacting just with logistics for your client. And then if you have found that you have a lot of reschedules, or, oh my God, I forgot about my appointment, I'm so sorry, those people, then you need to set up reminders, right? A week before your session, 72 hours before your session, 24 hours before your session. Do your clients need a reminder about their appointment time, the link, any of that information? You can set all of that up. And that is all within a good, robust calendaring system. And those are all automations. So I know automations are like a little bit of a scary word for some people, but all of that is automations. It's just built into that system already. So your whole calendaring system, all calendaring software, is pretty much all automations. And then you want to think about, how does the system sync with my other systems? So can I use my calendaring system to create tasks in my project management software, to create contacts in my CRM? And we're going to get to those in a second, but all of your systems should be working together. Okay, it should just be this whole little flow chart of systems, and they're all interconnected to create your overall business systems, your client and customer experience, and then how you function in your business as a business owner. All right. The third system as a financial coach that you need is a forms system. So when you start working with clients, you are going to, at some point, need to collect some information from them. And the best way to do that is with forms. And some of the common ones are Jot forms, which is the one that we use, Google Forms, and then a lot of times within your calendaring system, there's some sort of forms included. The important things about forms is that you can create templates. So if you are using forms right now and you have not created a template, this is going to be like a hot tip for you. Create a template. Sit down for like 10 minutes, create a template that has your logo, your colors, your fonts, your branding, whatever it is, but it's blank, right? And then every time you have to make a new form, just duplicate it and add the questions that you need. That way you're not spending time trying to make them all look really similar and trying to make them all look appropriate for your business. You just have a template. So if you don't have a system for templates already built into your forms, you can just create a template in any of the forms. The other important thing, and that's already built in automation for most forms, is that you get notified when someone fills out a form, right? One little task that you do not want to add to your plate is having to go into whatever form service you use to check and see if someone has completed the form. That's such a waste of time. So just set up the automation that when someone completes a form, you automatically get notified via email or whatever it is, so that you can go in and do whatever it is you need to do as follow-up for that client. And then additionally, depending on what your form is, you might also want to have the functionality to send those form responses back to your client. So for example, if your client is in a 6-month program and you want to send out a form at the 3-month mark that says, hey, like, let's just reflect back on kind of the progress that you've already made. That's something that you might want to send them the responses to that, so that they can really kind of look at that themselves and maybe compare to at the end of the program or compare to the beginning of the program. So any good form system should have the functionality to send that report back to the person who completed the form. And then another important thing is, can you consolidate the responses in your forms to look back on them? So anytime you're collecting information from your client is an opportunity for marketing. It's an opportunity for just learning about your business, learning about your client avatar, learning about your ideal client, all of that stuff. So you want your form system to be able to keep track of and consolidate your responses so that, say, at the end of the year, you can look back and say, I wonder, what is the feedback I got from my clients this year? Like, is there an easy way for me to go in there and check so I can, get this information? And maybe you can use it in your social media. Maybe you can say, my clients saved this amount of money this year. Maybe you can say, here's the number one change that my clients have noticed after working with me. You can use all of that information. You want to make sure that it can be consolidated, because otherwise, if you have clients filling out all these forms, that's gold, right? And you don't want to lose track of it. So any form system should have a way for you to go back and look at that stuff so that you don't lose it and you can use it to benefit and build your business. And then, this is going to sound familiar, can it sync with your other systems? So your forms should be able to sync with anything else you're usually using. So can you create links and include those in your emails, right? Your confirmation emails or your reminder emails for people to fill them out. Can you somehow sync it to your CRM so that it can automatically send people reminders? Hey, you've been in the program for 3 months. Can you fill out this form? Let's reflect back on your progress, right? You can automate all of that as long as your systems work together. And the other note is, if you have things like forms that you send out every month before every session, at every 3 month, 2 month, 6 month mark of your program, whatever it is, anything that happens repetitively like that, where it happens, it's going to different clients, but it's happening in the same amount of time for everybody. And the email pretty much says the same thing. Anything that's like that, that's repetitive like that, that can absolutely be automated. So if you find yourself, say, at the end of every month, you have to send an email out to all your clients that say, fill out this questionnaire, you can automate that. Anything that you're doing repetitively, that's an admin task, I promise you it can be automated. It's going to save you so much time if you just take a second to get the systems put in place. All right, love it or hate it, social media, you have to do it either way, right? Whether you love it, whether you hate it, you have to do social media. So here is the systems that you need for social media. And there's a little caveat, which is that, as we all know, I'm sure, Facebook and Instagram rule social media, and they're owned by the same company. It's all Meta. Because of that, they have decided they don't really want to play nice with other systems. They don't really want to integrate well. They don't want to make it like super easy for you to do things and to post content without actually going into their system. So setting up systems and automations around social media is very challenging, but there are some ways that you can make it easier and less time consuming for yourself. Now, in like big, bold letters, this is the very important caveat for social media. You cannot automate content creation. You will never, ever be able to automate content creation. You can outsource it to somebody else. You can hire someone else that does it for you, but you will never, ever, ever be able to automate content creation. So whenever I posted in this group or other groups and I've said, hey, what's one area of your business that takes a lot of time that you wish that you could automate or create systems around? And people always say content creation, right? Thinking up ideas for blog posts, writing up blog posts, thinking up social media ideas, writing up content. You have to do those things because all of those things are just you putting onto paper or onto the internet all of the beautiful, wonderful knowledge that's in your head and all of your life experiences. That's not something that any robot or system is going to be able to do for you ever. It's not. That is one human aspect of your business that you are going to have to do, or you're going to have to outsource to another human to do as opposed to a robot. So you cannot automate content creation, but you can automate what you do with that content after you've created it, right? So one thing is that you can repurpose content. So you, under no circumstance do you have to create 365 pieces of new content every single year and post everything, every single day. You absolutely don't have to do that. If you post an incredible blog post and it gets tons of traction, or even if it doesn't, but it's really meaningful, you can repost that You can repost it to different platforms. You can repost it in 3 months' time. You know, you don't have to redo everything all the time, constantly recreating the wheel. So a system that you can put in place is some sort of tracker that you can use to repurpose content. And that could be just simply a Google Sheet, or it could be using something like a project management software, which we're going to get to next, that says, okay, this is the content that I posted. Maybe this is how much feedback I got on it, like these are the likes I got on it. Anything above this number of likes, I'm going to repurpose that content in 3 months or 6 months or whatever it might be. You can create a system that says, hey, look, this was a great piece of content. You haven't posted it in several months. Why don't you repost it again? And then instead of feeling like you have to constantly create new content, you can say, no, I've already created really good content and I'm just going to reuse it. There's also scheduling software. I'm sure you guys already know about it. So there's programs like Later or Buffer, or you can just do it right within Facebook, right within the business suite thing. That you can schedule posts for both Facebook and Instagram. So you could literally have a day, 1 day of the month or 2 days in the month or 1 day a week where you go in and schedule all your posts for the week, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. There's design software like Canva that you can use to help design stuff. And the most important system, I think, other than the repurposing one, is what happens to your social media leads. So you're doing all this work to create content and to schedule it. What happens when someone engages with it? So if someone DMs you in Instagram or someone messages you on Facebook and you are starting to have a conversation, what happens to that person? Does it just live in Instagram and Facebook forever? Do you have some sort of email nurture sequence you can put them in? And if so, how does that happen? Is that a spreadsheet? Is it your CRM? Those are the things that you could create systems around. So you could say, anyone that DMs me on Instagram and they give me their email address, regardless of if they schedule an appointment with you right away, maybe you have a couple emails that you send out to them that just say, hey, you know, thanks for reaching out. Here's some more information about me, or whatever it might be. Okay. And if all of this sounds very overwhelming to you, then it sounds to me like you might need a project management software. So the two most common ones are Asana and Trello. We use Asana. There's definitely other ones out there. A project management software is going to help keep you organized. So it's going to set up reminders. It's going to set up due dates. If you have other employees working for you, it could set up reminders and due dates for them. You can assign tasks to them and things like that. And one thing that you can automate for your project management that I'm not sure a lot of people do is task templates. So if you have recurring things in your business, for example, every March, say you run a promo and it's 20% off of whatever, you can create a task template that says 20% off program promo. And then you have several subtasks in there for all the things that you have to do for that promo. So maybe you need to create the social media posts, and then you need to do a blog post, and then you need to send out an email newsletter, and then you need to update the pricing on your webpage, and all these things, right? And every time you do this promo, you have to do those same 4, 5, 6, 7, however many subtasks. You need to create in your project management software a task template so that every time you run that, every March, for example, you just duplicate the task template and all the subtasks are there. And you're never going to forget to do one of those subtasks again, right? Another great example of how you could use this is for your social media content. So for example, if you write blog posts, right? And your process for writing blog posts is you get the idea, you put the idea somewhere in Asana that just says like, maybe it's just an ideas board. Okay. And then eventually you want to write a blog post out of that. And maybe your subtasks for that are to research the topic, and then you write an outline, and then you write a blog, and then you post it, and then you research SEO, post it as a draft, research SEO, send it in your newsletter, whatever the steps are, right? You need to create a task template in Asana or Trello or whatever your project management software is that says new blog post, right? That's the name of it, and has all of those subtasks in the template. Every time you come up with a new idea for a blog, you duplicate that task template, type the idea in the title or whatever in the description, And then all of those subtasks are there, and you know exactly what your next steps are and where you are in your process for that blog post. So that is a great idea for how you can use your project management system to help automate and kind of streamline, especially recurring things that you do over and over and over and over again in your business. Okay, and then the $1 million question for your project management software: does it sync with your other systems, right? So your project management system is huge. Does it sync, especially with your calendaring system? So maybe someone books a discovery call with you. And when someone books a discovery call, you want to send them a welcome gift, right? And so you can set up an automation between the two systems that says, when someone books a discovery call, create a task for me in Asana or Trello that says, send this person a welcome gift. And you can include their name and their address and all their information right in that task and say that it's due tomorrow, right? And then you're not going to forget these little tasks that really boost your client experience, right? Those things are great. And if you can free up the space in your brain for having to remember these things by giving it to a robot to remember, then you have more space in your brain to think up other ways that you can serve your clients even better. Okay, so especially your project management software and your calendaring software and upcoming your CRM, these things have to talk to each other. And it can be either with a direct integration, meaning Asana speaks directly to Acuity, or it can be through a third party. So like Zapier, so like Asana speaks to Zapier, which speaks to Acuity. It doesn't matter, but either way, they have to be able to communicate in order for you to create really robust systems for your business. Okay, and then I saved the most important, in my opinion, for last. So the most important system, I think, from a business facing perspective. So we said from your client's perspective, it's probably your calendaring and scheduling system. It's the one they're going to interact with the most. From your business standpoint, as a business owner, I think the most important system that you can invest in for your business and for your sanity and for your organization is your CRM system. So CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management System. And this should be the hub of all the information about anybody that interacts with your business. So a couple examples are Streak, which is the one that we recommend in FCA. It's free. And a more robust system, a paid system, is, for example, what we use is ActiveCampaign. So your CRM is crazy important from the perspective of tracking clients, referral partners, leads, literally anybody that interacts with your business, organizing yourself, nurturing your leads, clients, all those people, reaching out to new leads and prospects, anything like that, creating your client journey and your pipelines. That is all within your CRM. So if I could make you a flow chart of the systems of your business, your CRM would be right in the middle of that flow chart, and everything else would be connected to it. That's why it's so important. So if you are going to spend money anywhere on any single system, as long as you already have a calendaring system that works for your clients, that's, I think, the most important because it's client facing. Next would be your CRM for your own personal sanity. So a CRM is where you're going to keep all your clients organized. Clients, prospects, leads, referral partners, anything like that. You can have lists of people. You can have tags for people so that you can really separate and segment groups of people no matter what you want to do. So for example, if I want to send a newsletter out and I want to say, I want to send this newsletter, but I only want to send it to prospects that reached me on Instagram, and I only want to send it to those that haven't booked a call with me yet or whatever. If you have your CRM set up properly, you should be able to do that. You should be able to find that tiny segment of people if you want and send whatever it is you want out to them. And also, you should be able to send the same or a different email to everyone as well. So you should be able to send it to large swaths of people or teeny tiny segments of people. And that's why CRMs are so amazing. The other thing to do in a CRM is to create your pipelines for your client journey. So whatever your client journey is, you can create stages for that in your CRM, which are called pipelines. And then you can literally move your clients through the pipeline depending on where they are in your client journey, so that you can have a broad overview of where everybody is within your business. And then if you click on that client, you can have an up close view of what that specific person is doing. So the beauty of a good CRM is that it can be both broad and very, very specific at the same time. And then in addition to your project management software, you can also create tasks and due date reminders within your CRM. And for the most part, most robust CRMs, paid CRMs, can sync with other systems and have automations already built in and included. So like I said, Streak is the one that we recommend in FCA, and it's a free CRM, and it's good for what you get for it being free. And it's great for you to begin to use a CRM and see what a CRM is capable of. You can organize people, you can create little deals for people. They're called boxes in Streak. And you can create pipelines and start to get used to kind of walking people through pipelines and things like that. Streak is great for a free CRM. But once you start to get more and more clients, more and more leads, prospects, more and more referral partners, you really want to upgrade to something that's more robust, and it's going to save you so much time and energy when you get in there and you see all that's really possible as far as automations and reminders. It just frees up so much time and space and energy for you. And so I think it's a really good investment for your business is your CRM. And it's a really important investment too, to buy one that's good and then to set it up really well so that it's ready to grow with you as your business grows. Okay, the other thing, does it work with your other systems? So if your CRM is in the center of your systems, business systems flow chart, it has to work with everything, right? And it should work with everything. Like I said, it might not work directly with other things. It might not work, for example, directly with Asana, but if you can link it through another system with Zapier or something like that, then that still counts as them being able to talk to each other. So you want things to be able to happen such as when someone books an appointment in your calendaring system, they are automatically added to your CRM as a contact. They are thrown into your pipelines within your CRM so you can see where they're at in your client journey. All of those things should happen behind the scenes without you doing it. You don't need to be doing any of that. If a robot can do it, you should not be doing it, right? You need to focus on the things that humans can do and only humans can do, like that pesky content creation from the social media section that we talked about. And then you also can use your CRM to nurture. So to nurture former clients, to nurture leads, to nurture prospects. A good CRM is going to have email newsletters and automations built into it so that you can reach out to contacts without actually reaching out to contacts. So an example of this would be if you, for example, do a Q&A call first. Someone books a Q&A call with you, you have the Q&A call, but they don't book anything further with you on that Q&A call. So then what happens? What happens next, right? Option one without systems is to remember that they didn't book anything and then remember in a couple of days to send them a follow-up and then remember a couple of days from that to send them another follow-up. That's option one. Option two is to create a nurture sequence in your CRM. And you say, okay, I had a Q&A call with this person. They're in my CRM. They didn't book. I'm going to move them to this stage in my pipeline. And they are automatically going to get a nurture sequence that says, okay, I'm going to send them an email right away. And then I'm going to send them an email in 2 days. And then I'm going to send them an email in 5 days. And then maybe I'm going to set a reminder for myself to call them, or whatever it is that your process is. Those are the two options. And for me, option number two sounds like a lot less mental bandwidth for you to remember. And that's just one example of what your CRM can do. So if you're still here with me, I would love it if you would comment with what your biggest takeaways are or what you found most helpful in this video. Thank you for sticking with me. I know that systems and automations can sometimes seem like a lot. It's a lot of information to take in. If you have questions, definitely add those in the comments too, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. If you want more info and details on how to build and set up some of these things, FCA is a great place to start. It gives you a great foundation. If you're looking for someone to walk you through one-on-one, if you're looking for something more advanced or something super customized to your business specifically, I'm going to post a link in the comments to my systems and automations coaching program. And what I do in that program is we do a full audit of your systems, and then we build out some really awesome systems that are totally customized and built to your specific programs. And it's going to clean up so much space in your schedule. And it's also going to clear up so much space in your brain that you don't have to remember these little minuscule tasks anymore. So if you've ever been that person that like wakes up in the middle of the night and is like, oh my God, I forgot to send that email to that client, it's going to get rid of all of that because you don't have to remember those little things anymore. And then I also wanted to remind you and give a shout out to anyone in the mastermind and remind you that on March 8th, I'm doing a live Q&A in the mastermind group to answer any of the questions you might have from something I covered in this video, questions about systems and automations in general, or for anything regarding your own personal business systems and automations. And I can't wait to touch base with you guys live and sort of in person and pick your brains about systems and automations. So thank you so much for joining me, and let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, have a great day.